Howdy. Want to get one of these mugs? I don't blame you. I do too. Oh, I already have one. Let's talk about politics and religion. Do not talk. I am Charlie Simons, and you can find this mug, big old 15-ounce mug, and a whole lot more at charliesimons.com, CharlieSimons.com. I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much. I'm a Californian through and through, born and raised, and been here most of my life. Lived outside of state a couple of times and came back. Well, now, frankly, I don't know if I see a light at the end of the tunnel in California. I think if I do find a place to go again out of state, I'm probably going to do it. I don't know. I'm just really stubborn that way. I don't want to. I don't want to quit. So I'm introducing you to anybody and everybody who's running for governor of the state of California this year, 2026, November. We have an opportunity to actually get a Republican governor. Think it could happen? I don't know with all the voter fraud, but President Trump is making tremendous inroads right now with making sure we don't do any more mail-in ballots and that kind of stuff. I don't know if California is going to comply, if they're just going to do it anyway, like they always do. There's a man I really admire. His name is Victor Davis Hanson. He's a fellow Californian. He spells it out, what kind of shape California's in right now. Watch this.
Segments of the Gavin Newsom is in a lot of trouble because California's nonpartisan state auditor just delivered a financial obituary for the world's fifth largest economy. $76.5 billion gone, vanished into a labyrinth of fraud, waste, mismanagement, and incompetence so vast that it makes Minnesota's systematic looting look like amateur hour at a county fair. The audit released December 11th places 8 state agencies on a high-risk designation, double the number when Gavin Newsom took office. And the breakdown reads like a criminal indictment disguised as bureaucratic assessment. $32 billion paid to unemployment fraudsters during the pandemic. $24 billion in homelessness spending that the state cannot track or account for, even as tent encampments metastasize across every major city. $18 billion consumed by a high-speed rail project that after 17 years has yet to lay a single operational mile of track. $2.5 billion in annual exposure from improper food stamp payments. $650 million wasted on a scrapped emergency services upgrade that never functioned. And this represents merely the documented losses that auditors could quantify. The full scope of the catastrophe likely extends far beyond what any audit could capture. Representative Kevin Kiley stood on the House floor and stated what California's own audit confirms. California is the fraud capital of America. Not hyperbole, not partisan exaggeration, a mathematical certainty derived from the state's own accounting. The number of agencies designated as high risk for waste, fraud, abuse, or mismanagement has doubled under Newsom's tenure. 8 separate agencies now carry this designation, meaning they exhibit serious fiscal pathologies and have failed to implement adequate corrective actions despite repeated warnings. The Employment Development Department that dispensed $32 billion to fraudsters, the Department of Social Services overseeing CalFresh benefits, hemorrhaging billions in improper payments, the Department of Finance that lost track of $24 billion in homelessness funds, the California High-Speed Rail Authority burning through $18 billion with nothing to show but environment. Gavin Newsom is in a lot of trouble because
and it all means nothing if we don't actually show up for the primary elections this coming summer in June. We've got to show up in numbers too big to ignore. but we have a dismal, dismal track record as Republicans, as conservatives for even showing up in the primaries and the midterms. We got to stop that. We got to end that right now. First, let's get you registered to vote. If you're not, please do at registertovote.ca.gov. Registertovote.ca.gov. Now, let's introduce you to one of those people who are saying, yeah, I want to be your next governor of California. His name is Leo Naranjo, and he's on Do Not Talk. You ready? Hit it. Welcome back, brother Leo.
Good morning, sir. Good afternoon for you folks just waking up right now. How are you all doing? Happy New Year's, by the way.
Thank you. Same to you. So, there's the mess you would inherit if come this June, we actually put you through the primaries to the main election in November. Where do you even start?
Wow, that's a hell of a report given by the individual you just highlighted here, and Kevin Kiley's acceptance of what it is. Let me first say this for you and your listeners out there in the YouTube world, Rumble world, and in the internet world. What you are seeing started long before these reports even started being adopted. I joined the military out of high school in 1980. When I was in my first assignment overseas, in our own newspaper, Stars and Stripes, that publication they gave troops in Germany, announced a news story that the easiest states to acquire welfare in and welfare benefits was New York, duh, and California. 40 years ago. It hasn't changed since. And I wanted to highlight on your show today because, we've seen the reports of Mr. Waltz and his fiasco down there in Minnesota. Hell, if you wanted to start digging into fraud, you ought to look into Illinois because they basically allowed a corrupt mayor to run roughshod over her two communities that she managed to fandangle herself into. That's the Tiffany Henyard story that has a lot of popularity online. That was a fiasco in the making. And how does somebody that roguish get away with absconding with so much taxpayer money at her level as a mayor and as basically a county supervisor? Well, you had to have big people above her knowing about it and either ignoring it or protecting it because they're getting their portion of the pie. So Waltz is an embarrassment to the country and basically has uncorked the genie in the bottle of fraud throughout this nation. Now the focus is starting to direct itself to California. And let me start off with the topics that your gentleman there announced. The Department of Health and Human Services. In California, they run and they oversee the Department of Human Assistance. And I'm going to take Sacramento, California, as my home base where I used to work in the welfare department as well. My tenure there for 11 years started about 2006. Food stamp program. That's what they called it back then. But that word was a little embarrassing, so they renamed it SNAP, the Supplemental Nutritionist Assistance Program, for some goofy reason. We dealt with GA Cash Aid, which was the county-funded program to give cash to those individuals unable to work for up to 90 days. CalWorks was something that was provided to those families with children or pregnant females about to have children. The CAPI program, Cash Assistance Program for Immigrants, was for those individuals who migrated here but did not yet qualify for Social Security payments. Yes, we paid them as well. And of course, we have all the other sundry programs, homelessness, housing, HUD, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In my time as a welfare worker, we did start getting grant money for the homeless program. What did our county do? Well, you got to have an administration to run these programs. So they created a position for a program manager, roughly $120,000 a year job. Program managers have to have people guide them, so they hired a program assistant, basically a program, another program manager, a little lower level, $70,000, $80,000 a year job. And of course, those people now need an administrative assistant, so they hired a clerical staff, one person, to fill this brand new program up in the Department of Human Assistance in Sacramento, California. Charlie, let me tell you, the money poured in. That job for the program manager was created because he was booted out of a previous job, needed somewhere to land, and they created a spot for him. That's that program. You start talking about the food stamp program. I noticed he highlighted the billions of dollars in that. Let me tell you how that worked out, because I drew all kinds of heat in my resistance to the food stamp program. I coined it the program of yes. You could never not be qualified unless you were an abject idiot, literally. And so in order to get on the food stamp program, that's a federal program that has certain guidelines. It doesn't matter if you have $12 million in the bank. Doesn't matter if you rolled up to a welfare office in a brand spanking new Rolls Royce. How much money were you making was the qualifier. And at that time, if you made under $2,400 a month, rounded up, you did not qualify. Well, you did qualify for the program for one person. Roughly, you get about $250 of food stamps. The farther up you got to that ceiling, the less you received in food stamps. The farther away you got from that ceiling, the more you received of food stamps. Very easy, sliding scale, numbers, plus and minus. You could be $1 over and be disqualified. And if that was the case, we had to find how to qualify you. The program wasn't intent on helping you, even though that's its purpose. The program wasn't intent on putting money in your pocket to buy staple food items for your families, although that is the purpose. The program was basically ran under this guise. We want you in it. I don't care if you got $500 a month. The largest amount I've ever seen paid out was close to $1,000. And when I rolled that family over for fraud, they just gave up the stamp that said cut my benefits. They got caught by me. The program I've seen as low as $5 a month, which really pissed people off, sitting half a day just to get told they're only getting $5 a month. It doesn't matter how much we paid the individual. What mattered was that the county charged the workers time towards administering the program. There's where the money starts to get swindled. So I might have most of my day out of an 8-hour day paying and dealing with customers and clients, as we call them, for the cash aid county program, but my management staff mandated my coworkers and myself to target our time towards the food stamp program so that we could charge the feds and be reimbursed as a county. Oh my God, Leo, that's horrible in the department. No, it gets better, because the county then rolls those reporting dollars over to county council. And what do they look at? How much money have we not spent from our general funding by taking the administrative money cost that we can siphon off, putting it into the county coffers where they can pay it off, and now they have all the excess equivalent that they can use for their own programs or bonuses or jobs or the creation of new programs to help out at federal taxpayer expense. That's just a small tip of that iceberg. Once we started having the problems with the first term of Trump, the money in food stamps started to get a little squishy. So they moved the priority. Now you no longer time studied your work off, as they call it, against the food stamp program. Now you push it off against the Medi-Cal program. You can see one Medi-Cal client all month long. 80% of your time was going to be devoted to Medi-Cal for administrative costs to charge off against the feds. That's how we puff up money within the welfare system. Now that both of those programs are being gutted, more or less financially strangled, now that the CalWorks program is kind of being financially retooled, the money is kind of dried up now. We no longer have the COVID influx. So what's happening is there's a restructuring of the welfare system in Sacramento, California. And the main office downtown on 28th Street, where I used to work, is now being closed under the guise of we can't afford the contract, we can't afford the repairs, it's an old building, time to move and disperse the staff.
That's which building?
28th Street.
No, I know. What is it though?
Sacramento, California, Department of Human Assistance. It's basically the main welfare office in Sacramento.
Closing.
Because they can't get the funding that they've been siphoning off of the programs.
But yet the checks are still going out. The benefits are still being put on that debit card and all that kind of stuff. That's still happening.
remember, these are, and I'm just going to use the food stamp program as the prime example because that's the one that's exceptional. That's the federal rules. No matter what, no matter where you go up and down the state, it's the same basic concept. It's federal rules. Now, how the counties administer these rules is up to the individual counties. If you are using those monies to enhance your county coffers, you'll be very lenient in passing the rules. But I've seen, and I do know of a couple of counties who basically do not want that clientele in their county, welfare clients particularly. And so they're very stringent on the rules, and they're a little bit hardballish when they impose them. Same concept. You can only move the ball so far, but it's a matter of how loose you want to play the ball. Let me give you an example of what I mean by loose. There are approximately 4,000 employees in the welfare system in Sacramento, California, who work the programs. And they work CalWorks, they work Child Protective Services, they work welfare, CalWorks.
All of them getting about $60,000, $70,000, $75,000 a year.
Well, we're all combined. You have various
Don't forget all the
levels
benefits too, and the
and
health.
benefits. Yep, I was there.
Retirement.
I was a union rep. So you
Yeah.
figure 4,000 employees throughout the county dealing with the welfare services here in Sacramento only, just using that as a template. I'm one person. My focus at that time was cash aid assistance and food stamps. One guy, keep that in mind. Our basic caseload at that time frame was 22 to 2,500 clients per worker. So that means I was responsible for almost 2,500 people in the Sacramento region assigned to me. On any given month, I went through 400 cases. And any given year, I reported up to 800 potential fraud cases based on the information I had, my own intuition, and sometimes just blind luck and suspicion. What did I get for this reporting of 800 fraud cases a month? Threatened with termination, threatened with write-up, announced that I couldn't do my job if I'm doing so many fraud cases reporting them. The actual investigators told me I was overwhelming them with work. I needed to slow down. The closest person to my numbers was my coworker, and he averaged per year about 200 cases of fraud a year. But that's 2 people out of 4,000 employees. Combined, the other 3,900 and some odd number of employees fielded a total of less than 100 cases of fraud a year. That wasn't by lack of the workers doing stuff or compelling them to do their work. That was the management oversight emphasis of, we're not worried about fraud. Somebody else will catch it. Your job is to get them into the program and don't worry about what happens afterwards.
Wow. Wow.
It is a shot, and it goes up to county council, city council. They're aware of it. County council, they're aware of it. Who did they remove in the executive branch in Sacramento from one of the positions for various reasons? And they reinstilled as the county executive Ann Richards. And what was she? Former head of the Department of Human Assistance, the welfare boss, the director. They knew exactly what they did when they instilled her into that position because she knew what was going on. They knew what was going on. Everybody wants to say, oh, I didn't know. Garbage. Charlie did damn well know. Everybody knows all up the way on the food chain, but everybody's acceptable to it. And the problem is when you report it, they don't acknowledge you as the worker. Good job, Leo, or good job, Sally, or good job, Bobby. You did a wonderful job snipping off fraud. No, they'll threaten you with termination of not doing your job because you're reporting what they don't want to know about. It costs them money when you kill cases. They can't get paid to administer the caseload. I might have saved thousands in my activities, but I've cost the county millions in administration fees. So what do you think you're going to get for that? You're going to get slammed and reappropriated in your direction of thinking. I didn't yield on that, which is why I eventually joined the union. I didn't time study the programs I didn't work in fully. And I did it correctly after a few fights and a few teeth pulling moments. They basically said, you do what you do. Everybody else, however, will time study what we tell them to do. And that's how that worked. So this tip of the iceberg frog in Minnesota, when you start uncovering it here in California, you know, that one of our counterparts here running for office has made a bold statement, made a bold projection with the new controller running, or the guy that wants to be comptroller running. And let me tell you, you want to start fixing this, fixing the program. The program's nothing wrong with the program. It is as it is. It's wrong with the people running it. And unless you're prepared to start taking these directors and removing them and charging them, nothing's going to get fixed. Unless you start looking at these local governments that are knowing about this nonsense, nothing's going to get fixed. And I've said this the whole time during my campaign, sir. I'm not here for platitudes. I'm here to make fixes. I'm well aware of what's going on inside the welfare system. I was there for 11 years as a worker and as a union rep. People on the outside making noise, that's exactly what you're doing, because you're getting information from people who say, here are the number crunches, but they've never worked a program to really know what the number crunches are doing. Prime example, CPS. It took years before two young ladies finally broke camp at the Sacramento office here at Watt Avenue and Auburn Boulevard. And it was reported highly in the news. CPS lost two of their children because they escaped the facility. One got killed in a car crash. What was the net result? Even though years of complaints were made, they reassigned, if not fired, the program director there. Took the death of a child to figure out there was a problem? Wow. That's standard practice in the Department of Human Assistance. That's not nothing new. Everybody's shocked. Everybody that's looking around right now seeing these reports, I'm shocked at what's going on. That's because you're not aware of what's happening. You're not clued into the program because you don't work the program. And it's not a shock to people like me because this was an everyday thing, but it's been going on for decades, to the degree that Sacramento County that I'm highlighting, there's one county. There's 58 in this state. So you start ratcheting up the numbers and you see how prevalent it is.
This is all about padding the ballot box. I'm convinced of that. After the catastrophic collapse of real estate market and so on in 2007, 2008, and you would have been in that capacity, you would have been in that job. I remember Obama, as soon as he took office, started putting out a public service announcement campaign, which, by the way, it wasn't free. That we were paying for that too. Encouraging everybody to sign up for food stamps, or at the time they hadn't even started calling it SNAP. Still, it was they had changed the name to EBT. EBT.
Well, that's the card. Yeah, they took away the paper stamps and they created this little card. Oh, I'll tell you stories about that too in a minute.
I'll bet you will, and I want to hear them. But I'll never forget Obama started doing this nationwide campaign about, well, you won't know unless you apply. If you can qualify for help, you can qualify for help, even if you think you don't. Go ahead and still try. And I thought at the time, this is just creating a dependent society that's always going to side with whoever's going to keep the freebies coming. And unfortunately, I was right. It has created just a huge preponderance of.
You were half right.
Okay.
Here's the eye opener. You were half right. Remember that time frame that you just declared, that you just highlighted. Everybody wants to find out if they're on food stamps. We want you to apply to find out. So, and I get where you're going on how you felt that program was. We're trying to establish dependency. We're trying to get people locked into a program to endlessly say, demos good, food good, vote for demos. No, that's not even it. Nobody cared about those people qualifying. Remember, this is the shuffle game. Think of the three shell shuffle game. The concept of that time frame was for you to apply. Doesn't matter if you qualified. I've had 90-year-olds show up, 80-year-olds show up. I'm here to apply for food stamp. Sir, ma'am, are you on Social Security? Yes. So this is what I did as a worker. And I did this not because I was lazy and I didn't want to do my job. I did this because I'm seeing people come into the office, spending half a day to set up the appointment, coming back 3 or 4 days later to spend another half a day to see me, knowing that they're going to have to spend the next 2 hours filling out paperwork. And I already know what's going to happen. You're going to be rejected. Well, why? I haven't even done anything yet. The first question I asked you was, are you on Social Security? Yes. How much are you making? $2,800 a month. you're disqualified right off the bat. This is the option that I gave to people, and my coworkers kind of jokingly called it the fast track. Here's how you do an intake with a client. Go see Naranjo. What did Naranjo do? Here are my options to the clients. I never told people. I asked them, how do you want me to spend your time? Option number one, if you're drawing the amount that I can see with the documents you give me that are going to automatically preclude you from the program, sign and date in these indicated areas. I'll do the rest. You can have a nice day because you're going to be disqualified. If, however, you would like to impress your rights to go through the full routine, or if I think that my math might be close to the line, let's find out, we'll go through the full 1 hour, 1.5 hour process. And then we'll find out in the end of the day. 95% of the time I was correct. For those that instilled their rights, they were not as pissed off as other people because at least they tried, and I mathed it out, showed them everything that they either qualified or didn't qualify. They were very appreciative that I didn't waste their time. As a worker, I've only had in the course of my 11 years, one write-up against me, and that was coached by a supervisor who couldn't stand my guts. But I have seen workers who wasted people's time, and literally we had to call the sheriffs down to pry off the client from the worker because they were accused of being an a-hole and wasting their day. Again, let me circle back, however, to your statement. It was not about getting dependency, Charlie. What it was Obama was pushing for everybody to go to the welfare offices. You have to apply to see if you qualify. First off, get that out of your mind. Look at what is said and look also at what is not said. You have to apply. Boom. I get paid to take your application. I get paid to process your application. Doesn't matter if you get on the benefit program or not. I'm paid to push the paperwork. That's what they were doing. Because now I can charge off against the federal food stamp program. I'm processing the applications. Again, when they looked to see what I was doing, on average, we were pushing through 10 to 12, about 10 people a day for intake processes. Well, Leo, how are you getting done in 2 hours? Because I'm already looking at the paperwork of the people that I have to see in the course of my day. These folks are automatically going to be disqualified. Why would I want to shaft them and screw their day over? No. You have to do the paperwork. I get paid to do the intake. Then I get paid to manage the case if you qualify. That's where the catch was. Everybody's focused on them getting in the program, but nobody's noticing what you're being paid for to process the paperwork. That's the administration cost that kept going upwards. That's what Obama was pushing.
And kept growing.
And kept growing.
Hiring more and more people to add to that 4,000 workforce.
And you get paid for every application for every program that you apply for.
A nice little gift to California, wasn't it?
California loved it. We had a huge benefit down there. Heck, we even got a decent contract, 2% pay raise the county finally figured out they could afford. But you're giving your employees 2%. Your management is because, and remember, this is how this works out. Everybody wants to criticize the union, and Leo, you were in the union. Yeah, I wore 3 hats at the same time in the union. Chief Stewart, where I represented 1/4 of all employees in Sacramento County. Governing board member, where I helped negotiate contracts and differences of working conditions. And the safety officer for all 4,000 employees countywide. All 3 hats at the same time. So when we worked our contracts, nobody noticed that the supervisors never complained what the employees were arguing for. Oh, they made some noise. They dribbled off a concept here or there, but nobody complained. Management totally shut up about it, right? Well, management formed their own union also. Dirty little secret. Employees are there fighting with the county, and we think that we're doing great because we got our members 3%, which was the best we were ever going to get from the county coffers. Oh, Leo, you're killing us. No. The people that do the work are barely getting 3%. Here's where the automatics come in. What is the automatic separation between an employee and a supervisor? A 5% cushion. If I get a 3% raise, I'm now closing that cushion. So the supervisors have to get their automatic differential to keep us 10 to 15% separate.
Interesting.
From management, well, they have to have a 20% gap. So whatever the supervisors get, they have to have that differential pushed back out again. That's how the raise scales started to work for the employees going up.
That's insane. Obviously, a business couldn't stay in business with those kind of protocols. So
how dirty is this? Before you move to your next segue, how dirty is this? Look at the most recent news reports in Sacramento County, which you are now no longer hearing about on the news. The most recent revelation was we had a program specialist, as they call them. I said manager earlier, my correction, program specialist. A program specialist dealing with homelessness and a few other programs affiliated during COVID timeframes and a little bit past COVID timeframes. She got caught with her hand in a cookie jar because she owned a business that was directly getting paid some of this money. She worked with the NAACP that got caught. Their individual got caught when a vendor was saying, I'm not getting paid, raise some cane. They investigated it. The NAACP individual got charged and thrown out of her office, and the indictment came down. Guess what? Program specialist's hands were dirty. What did the department do? They sure as hell didn't put her on administrative leave pending termination. No, Mr. Ethan Dye is the current director. His hand-picked program specialist was that young lady that made it into the news that was under indictment and charges. She got protected. She's still employed, and that has disappeared from the media outlets. But let me remind those people in the Department of Human Assistance watching this video, my freaking mind is long in remembrance. If I'm elected governor, what do you think I'm going to do? We're going to start cleaving out that trash inside of the Department of Human Assistance, starting with that problem. And we're going to go nothing but upwards from there. I'm not here talking about how do we fix the program. We're going to terminate employees. If you have 5 employees that are acting up, by all means, adjust those attitudes and deal with them. When you have 20 employees acting up, that's a problem of management. You're former military, you know how that works. And that's where my focus of attention is going to begin, with management. I understand we have a candidate right now running around. We're going to fix the programs, create this group, charge this group, partnership with the feds. I don't need the feds to help me fix my own house. I need the support when I ask for it. But I'm not going to create another bureaucracy for Californians to pay for to make another potential of creating fraud. I already know what the problems are, and the problems are going to start with directors and managers. Number 1, let's start with EDD. Your ass, pardon my French, is fired. Incompetence. I'll figure out whatever language I need to use to remove you. The $35 billion that you've squandered, my demand is that you come back with 75% upwards to the amount you gave away in ill-gotten gains because of your failed computer systems. And we're going to work downward so that the employees understand this guy's not kidding. I'm not kidding. And as far as the computer systems go throughout the state, here's another dirty little secret. Let me clue you into that one. In order for these systems to operate, we need to have electronics, Charlie. You know what that means? Got to have that computer skill and specialty. So we create a consortium, as they call it in California. Bunch of city groups, bunch of counties that get together and they say, here is our key focus. Welfare program, same thing here in Sacramento. Sacramento cannot independently do what it wants to do because they're part of a consortium. And they have decided, whoever they are, again, stakeholders, their opportunity to declare a stakeholder, you'll never know who they are. My definition of a stakeholder starts with the citizens. And if it doesn't include them, then there's no discussion. I digress. So we have to have a computer system to deal with the welfare system. Pay for some people to do that. Pay for some companies to do that. May or may not be aligned with us, but that's okay. We got friends. We give them a lot of money to create the program. We give them a lot more money to install the programs. And we might have to give them additional money to pay for the computers to hold the programs. Now you have your program. Yay! Millions of dollars have flowed in past hands. Mr. Simons, there's a problem. There's a glitch in the program. There's a glitch. Well, we have to fix it, right? Have to have an update. Well, guess what that is? Your computer costs you, I'm just going to use some fast numbers for the example. Your computer costs you $100 to put on your desk. $100 for the brand new program and $50 make up whatever excuse you want to do. So you've now rounded out the total cost to get you up and running as a worker, $250. But your program doesn't work. We have to go back to the vendor. And what are they going to do? Give you an update. And how much is that going to cost you? Pick the figure they want to charge, because you have to have it. 10,000, a million. How many units do you have? Oh, that's at least $3 million upgrade cost. Now Charlie Simons' computer is running great, except Leo Naranjo's in another county has failed because your update screwed up my system. Repeat, rinse, and continue.
Wow. Wow.
Do you think I was a well-liked individual in my county? Hell no. But I tell you this, I had a lieutenant from the investigating division that wanted to know how I popped an individual in the fastest investigation of a client who was caught and charged with the following: welfare fraud, Medi-Cal fraud, Social Security fraud, Medicare fraud, ID theft. What happened? How did you do that, Leo? Because my policy was, if I didn't know where you were, if your mail came back to my office and my desk, that means I lost track of you or you lost track of me. Naranjo's policy to find you was to terminate your case that month. If you're around, you'll be back and I'll restore you. But if you're not, I caught you. What did the county say? That's not the right process, Mr. Naranjo. You're in violation. Well, no, actually, I'm not. I'm going according to the regulations, if you want to get argumentative with me. And so this gentleman came back, and for the next 2.5 months, the supervisor and the gentleman in question damn near bent me and broke me to force open that case. Meanwhile, my hesitancy of doing it was because 2 different investigators could not verify his identification. And I was finally ordered by the investigators not to do anything unless it was in person, because all the electronic ID was failed. What happened? This gentleman's brother died in Texas many years ago, and he assumed his ID so well that nobody could identify who he was versus his dead brother. And that's how he got all into the programs. And guess what? The biggest protection that ever gave him was, I'm homeless. Once you say that, that's like the golden ticket of nobody touches you. I'm homeless. Well, when you walk into my office with iron press clothes, telling me you're homeless, that immediately popped an investigation request for me, because you're living somewhere. And my catch rate, Charlie, I might have rolled over 400 or 500 cases a year. And I rolled over at least 200 a month in my own caseload per month. My catch load, well, Leo, you're bragging about all these people you caught. You just flew off the cuff. No, intuition, experience, and the information I had netted me a catch rate of 75 to 85% successfully nailed. That means you lost benefits, suspended from benefits, reduced benefits, sanctioned from benefits, or your case was terminated, up to and including at times incarceration because of the follow-on law enforcement activity that generated from what I reported.
In the meantime, you had all these people at the top saying, no, we don't want to get people off the program. We want more on.
Oh, they were doing everything possible to get me fired for every excuse they possibly could. Yep. Up to and including breach of confidentiality laws. Oh, let me tell you about that. You've got a gentleman right now that I've fired off the cease and desist about, hot on this program now, got the controller behind him. And Mr. Benny, Mr. Benny, the podcaster, is coming into this. Let me caution people on your show again. Mr. Hilton by name is a citizen, evidently, who is making a website for you to report what is going on in your state agencies of fraud, waste, and abuse. Let me clarify my position. Leo Naranjo IV, candidate for governor, always wants you to report fraud, waste, and abuse. I'm not impeding that reporting. What I am telling you is do it correctly with the agency directives your program has in your agency. You are now protected by whistleblower actions. But when you give up information to somebody's fictitious website to pass along whatever it is you're passing, God bless you for doing it, you're wrong. You're in violation. I called up to SEIU, and I'm no friend of theirs. They're no friend of mine. And I asked them on my union experience, if I as an employee do this and I'm caught, what are the ramifications? You're terminated, breach of confidentiality. The union will not support you. They'll help escort you out of the building safely. That's it. If you're a long-term state employee and you get caught doing this, your pension and your career are at risk. Mr. Hilton Company cannot give you whistle protection rights under his website. They cannot stop inquiries of where that information came from. You can't FOIA Mr. Hilton to find out what he knows and who's telling him. But you can be sued over it. You can be charged with defamation on some of your allegations. And I've tried to inform people, fraud reporting, yes, do it the right way. What he's doing is putting people at risk and jeopardizing their careers for theater. Yes, it's making a big splash. Yes, it's looking great and fantastic in the current atmosphere. But when the dust starts to settle, let me tell you, these people at the top are going to want to know who said what and what agency are they coming from. And you're going to have to give up that information to somebody. And as soon as you do, they're going to cut loose the HR people. The management folks are going to take advantage of it. And the termination wave is going to be repressive because the union cannot save you when you're charged with breach of confidentiality. Those are terminationable offenses, cut and dry. Keep playing with that monstrosity. You're going to find out the hard way what's getting ready to happen to you. And they'll use that as the guise of cutting the fraud, waste, and abuse by removing problem children. Nobody's here to hear you report fraud. You reporting fraud makes you the target, not the fraud. And that's what people don't understand when they start tackling this monstrosity. Nobody praises you for what you did. They complain about you reporting it, which means now as a manager, I have to work, generate more paperwork. Ugh, let me just get rid of you. You've been subpar, Charlie, in your productivity, and you've copped an attitude today, so we're going to have to, well, let you go. You're not the right fit. You've heard it before.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What's the word they always use? Oh, insubordination.
That too.
That's a biggie. Insubordination, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you decide who's being insubordinate? Well, he looked at me sideways. Really? It's true though. These people have worked. They got their little government jobs. They got their little parking places. They got their little badges that get them access to buildings, and so they're impotent. And they're not going to do anything to jeopardize that or to rock the boat. So just keep passing them through.
Think of what you just said. They have badges to get into their state agencies. And this is what I'm saying. When you start leaking this type of information to an unfiltered, unchecked, unregulated website that was created by that particular candidate, who's monitoring? What kind of access are you giving? And what kind of information are you passing? You could be charged with hacking state system. You could be charged with facilitating the fraud and then having to pay for it. There's all kinds of possibilities that the state agencies can turn around if this becomes too politically embarrassing, and they can start removing employees with bills and jeopardizing the payments for your public sector union employee pension. If you think I'm fooling around, let me point out, make it very clear. I never told stories in my 11 years with the county. I gave people, here's what I know, here's what I've seen. And if you haven't heard it, you may have lived it or been through it or know somebody that has. And I was very direct with my clients. When the door shut with them and I, it got real. EO real, that I can't repeat here without being sued to oblivion real. And my clients basically told me, as harsh as you were in the language, thank you for the honesty that you gave us the right decision to move forward. I was never a person that said fraud, waste, and abuse is an okay thing or acceptable. I tried to combat it every chance that I got. literally by myself. I ran their phone operations center for a year, volunteered to do it no less, because nobody wanted the job. And I still got crucified because while doing that job in the day, the only person in Sacramento County running the phone center when it first started, I still managed to roll over 20 cases of fraud reporting a day. And I got crucified for it.
This is insane.
Yep.
So you're governor. Like I started off this whole thing with, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
We're going to start investigating. And unfortunately, some people don't trust the system in state, Sam Shane. That's not my problem. The system is the system. It's the one we have. It's the one we work with. If you want to change it, elect new people.
I actually happened to be listening to Sam Shane the day that you were on with him on KFBK. I know Sam. He and I worked together, not together, but we were in the same market earlier in our careers. And I like him. I like what he's doing on the radio. I think he's doing a great job. Better on radio than he even was on television. So he's a consummate professional. But I heard you go, I'm listening. And they go, okay, let's go to Leo in whatever town it was. And you go, and you started off with, this is Leo Naranjo. And yes, I'm running for governor of the state of California. And you started presenting some of these solutions like this, and he just shut it down. And cut you off. Cut you off.
Yes, he did. You heard that interview. And that was a very short interview, by the way. And what I'm going to say about that is this. The question that what started that call was Mr. Shane put out there, Mr. Hilton and Mr. Bianco have to answer. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? How are you going to take care of this? And I started to ask and answer that question. You
were answering the question. Yeah, exactly.
There you go. But then all of a sudden, the parameters of the question changed. What person specifically are you going to use? What agency specifically? You didn't ask those gentlemen for that. No. But you're trying to clown me as if you think you're going to bury me and I'm not going to hold my own with you. You cut me off because I was holding my own with you. I'm not going to use an outside.
That was disappointing. It was disappointing. So, okay, back to it though.
Back to it.
Now, once again, what do you do? What would your governor now, where do you start?
First thing we're going to do is we're going to instill into agencies that there's a new, quote unquote, using the pun, there's a new sheriff in town with a new mentality and a new directive. I'm not here to kiss the political butt or to enhance careers. I'm here to get California back on track because that's what the citizens wanted if they elect me to be governor. And that's going to start from the top. Those of you in management who have been drawing checks because luckily somebody has allowed this, I only got to show up for an hour in the month to draw my full month's salary. How the hell are you managing your department when you're never there? Those people need to dust off their resumes and start looking for new positions, maybe outside of California if necessary, but you're going to start doing the job we're paying you for.
That is the opposite of how it is with most government jobs, including the military. You got somebody doing a really poor, dismal job. You don't get rid of them. You just promote them, or you move them to a different sector, or you reassign them. Nobody gets fired.
Yeah.
Nobody.
It's going to happen here because here's what I tell people, especially at the lower ranks. You're in a union? Call your rep because it's going to be that type of conversation. I'm not joking. I'm serious. We can, my position with the unions is this. I will work with you. I'm not working for you. What does that mean? You're not going to call me up and say, Leo, you have to do this. No, that's not how that works. Leo, you have to do this because we gave you $50,000. You're contractually obligated. No, let me tell you how that works too. I'll accept donation money from unions and your rules that go with it, because this is what happens when you pay towards me. You accept the fact that I'm independent and I will still do what I plan on doing, not at your direction or behest. If you're wrong, I'm going to call you out. Oh, that's not appropriate. Then don't support me.
That's not appropriate.
Yeah.
And the simple fact that you're running as a Republican, I'd be very shocked if any unions ever gave you any kind of campaign donations. They don't want you. They want anybody with a D in front of their name because they're pretty much guaranteed that every Democrat is going to suck up to the unions and give them whatever they want. And
trying to
the
tell
unions
the
have
unions
priced
right
us
now.
right. What's that?
I'm trying to tell the unions right now, look, I understand what unions are about because I was a former union member. So here's what happens when people who don't know, who have never been in unions, they make the platitudes that sound good. We're waging war against the union. Unions are made up of people who are your fellow citizens, who vote, who decided to collectively join together to have a representative. Right, wrong, or indifferent doesn't matter. It's what they chose to do. Having a war with the union means you're declaring war on those very people you're looking to vote for you. How dumb is that? My position for unions is this: I don't have a problem with the members. I have an issue with their leadership and the direction of their leadership. My reason for talking to the union membership is very straightforward. I want the opportunity to speak to your guys. If you still want to stay Democrat, God bless you. I don't know why, but whatever. But here's my point. If you want to stay in your union, you have to be employed in a job in California. Your union people have to realize for you to exist as a union, you got to have paid employees in the state. Valero's leaving. What's happening to those union members? Don't know, but they don't have a job. Chevron's leaving. You have Mare Island now closing. I'm going to try and reach out to those unions. If you want to keep employment, decent employment, and union stuff that goes with it, you need to start hearing what I'm telling you. I'm fighting for you to be able to live in this state. I'm not fighting for you to squeeze out the biggest dollar you can screw the taxpayers over with. If that's your intent, then you're not going to hear me for very long, and you sure as hell aren't going to vote for me. But if you're worried about your membership union leaders, you'll give me that opportunity and you'll start to hear what I'm trying to tell you on how I'm going to help fix California. But platitudes, I'm not for platitudes. I'm not for BS. And pensions right now, $1.2 trillion is the debt I've heard. And I've seen some of the reports. Charlie, let me say to you on this show, for your listeners and for the public in general, for those people in charge of the PERB retirement program, you damn well better be dusting up your resumes, because the first thing I'm going to do is fire all of you for incompetence and potentially charge you for the embezzlement of taxpayer money. You went go green investments as opposed to investing on behalf of your client, which were the union members and the fiduciary people paying into the system, also the taxpayers. You took political dogma first and relinquished your fiduciary responsibilities last. That attitude is going to change, and I'm going to bring that change forward to these establishments. I'm not saying that you're going to answer to me. You're going to be answerable to me, yes. But I want you to be in that position to make money for that program for those people. Anything less, in my eyes, you failed, you're gone, or have a good reason why I should keep you. That's how you start to make changes, not by hanging out a few employees and looking impressive or threatening programs. It's by shaking up the establishment, putting your foot up to the backsides of people who have been getting over and telling them, I'm not here about politics. I'm here about you doing your job successfully. And if you can't do it, move it along, dude. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. I'm going to be leading. You're either going to follow me, but if you're an impediment, get the hell out of my way.
You know why I will never be governor of California?
I'm not rich and I'm not famous.
No, me. Why I would never be. Why I would never be governor of California? Because I am dead set against any kind of government employee unions. Dead set. I think it's a horrible conflict of interest. They all they do is just protect each other and guard each other's backs to protect the little phony baloney jobs as the government keeps growing and growing out of complete control. I put so much of that blame on unions, pricing us right out of even being competitive in any way. That's just, private sector employee unions have done that. I've been in the union too, and I was a shop steward as well for AFTRA, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, and I saw the ridiculousness of them and what it was all about. And
funny, isn't it?
It's not sustainable in the private sector, and that's why you don't find many union shops in the market I was working in at the time, San Francisco. They're pretty much non-existent now. In fact, AFTRA, got absorbed by SAG, Screen Actors Guild. So basically now everybody's an actor who's in the media if they want to be in the union, and they get almost zero representation. And all they do is just fight for more pay for doing less work. And that is not sustainable. And that's what's killed the radio business in many, many major markets where there were union shops. They can't stay competitive. They can't even raise the price of their commercials enough to be able to pay for the exorbitant wages and ridiculousness of the unions that their employees belong to. I'm not a union fan, obviously, but when it comes to public sector stuff, excuse me, government unions,
it's harsh.
Get out. They shouldn't even be there. We
have law enforcement with unions, fire departments with unions, and you talk about lucrative contracts there. I don't know if you've been following me on X. We have a young lady that posted, and I'll keep her name off of this mix for the purposes of this explanation. But her union member husband seemed to have gotten himself into a medical position to where now they're on the verge of losing their home and having to leave California. But you're a former police officer. What happened? Now, not knowing everything about their case, she gave up a little information to me, and here was my response back to her. Chances are your union did nothing, because in the union, when you're in the herd, everything's good to go. But the difference between real world humans and real world animal kingdom is this. In the animal kingdom, when you break a leg, you're somebody's lunch. The herd moves on. They're not about the union. You're done. You're on your own, dude. Same thing here. This individual got injured. What happened? The union didn't really come through for them. Takes their monies, takes their dues, represents the political party they may not agree with, which is why they can't live here anymore as a union member. I'm for people arguing through unions to get fair wages, benefits, and good working conditions, but I am not for unions taking it to the degree that you've destroyed the community that you live in that supports you. We have to bring it back to reality. That's the fight that I'm going to take to the unions. And some of them have already heard me, and they've already said, yeah, we're willing to talk to you. However, I said, there's no however. Your members are either going to be able to live here or they're not. That's what I'm bringing to you, is how to work that medium. And if you want to keep doing what you're doing, God bless you. Good luck. I'll read about you. I'm not here to try and twist your arm or anything like that. If reality doesn't forces you to understand, then you're never going to understand. But this young lady is in the problem now with the same issue. And it's the unions. And don't forget, unions, when they absorb each other, who loses a job, really? It's not the former union bosses. They're absorbed into the new union.
Right.
And what do the unions do? They represent the workers to squeeze you for 1 or 2%. But guess what? Most of your political money is going to the very party that's making it hard for you to pay your bills, your electric bills, your heating bills. Have you seen your heating bill this month? World? Oh my God. PG&E's all year, 6 increases every year. Forewarning, Public Utilities Commission, your happy asses are going to get sacked. Day 2 action by me directly.
Oh, thank God. Speaking of union employees, though, those public utilities are all union people. And I wish you all the best. How do we get involved? How do we follow along with what you're doing? And I know there's that and so much more that's on your mind, and we can find out what your policies are and how you envision stopping the state from plummeting off a cliff at your website, right?
My website is Naranjo, 4gov.com. You can look up the various things there to see where I'm at, what I'm standing on. Let me forewarn people out there right now, and Miss Julie Watts, wherever you are, let me ask you as well. I'm not worried about taking hard questions or continually follow-up questions. If you want to beat me up for 15 minutes or 2.5 hours, knock yourself out. I'm going to go toe-to-toe with you. Naranjo4gov.com is my website. You can find me on X, Leo Naranjo, IV. You can find me on LinkedIn. Information is there. If you have questions, you have answers, you want to host me and put my feet to the fire to a town hall, put it out there. I'm not afraid to deal with the public or to answer those questions, because at the end of the day, Charlie, it doesn't matter what I say, what any other candidate says. You, the voter, are going to decide ultimately where we go as a state. All the platitudes and the nonsense.
If we actually show up, if we actually vote.
Actually show up, yes. but let's not leave 51% of our electric on the table like we did in 2022. You have to show up. This is a once in a generational type opportunity we have to change California. This will not happen again for the Republican Party, in my opinion, in the next 20 years if this fails. We're not running against Newsom. We're running against the loser legacy he's leaving behind. And I've already informed some potential Democratic candidates. When I'm done arguing with my side and we're now on the same sheet of music, you're next.
You're next. I love it. Naranjo, spelled Naranjo. Leo Naranjo, 4 GOV.com. Wow. All right, partner. Thanks for being on the show. I appreciate you very much.
God bless you. Thank you very much, Charlie. You guys have a great afternoon.
Absolutely. You too, buddy. There you go. Somebody else running for governor as a Republican. Wish him well. Get involved. Go to his website, find out what he has to say, see what you think of it, and share it with others. Share the show. Share the show with others. I lost Meta has deleted me entirely from their platform. I have no more Facebook pages, no more Instagram. It's all gone. So you sharing these shows and letting people know about them is a tremendous help, and I appreciate that very much. If there's one more thing I could encourage you to do too, is check out a website where I get all of my health supplements. I get my stuff for my body, stuff for the home. It's all in one place. It's all online. It's kind of like Amazon meets Costco. You buy in, you become a part of it, a part of the family, and you purchase these products, and we all help each other this way. It's all American-based, American-made, and that's incredibly important to me. They've been around over 30 years, too. You don't hear about them because they don't advertise. They do it through word of mouth, people like me. Somebody introduced me to their toothpaste when I'd had a crown, and the pain was getting really intense underneath. And of course, the dentist said, "Oh, you're going to need a root canal." Root canal over a crown? Oh boy, that doesn't sound good at all. Somebody introduced me, a friend introduced me to this toothpaste from this company, which has got tea tree oil in it. Nobody really knew what was going on with tea tree oil at the time. I've been using it ever since. The pain's gone. I don't have every time I go to the dentist, it's always like, "Wow, you got great looking teeth." I know, it's my toothpaste. That's all it is. I'm telling you, it's the toothpaste. So join me. Look it up. Watch that little video on there from my friend Ron Lyons explaining how the whole thing works. And then become a part of it. Become a part of it and start utilizing and sharing these products and using them for yourself and for your family. And the website is freedomswitchusa.com/Lee. Lee is my middle name. That'll take you right to the page, and you'll get all you need to know right there. That's freedomswitchusa.com/Lee, Lee. And please go to my website too. Buy one of these mugs. You'll be helping the show. Mugs, hats, shirts, all kinds of stuff in the merch store. Ways to give there, ways to support, ways to contact me directly, or even be on the show like Leo did. Leo booked through my website. That's how he got on the show again. CharlieSimons.com, CharlieSimons.com. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America, bless God